I love you.
Social media really has become a big part of our lives. And if you're a part of Gen Z, you kind of grew up with the internet. You know, maybe you played a lot of games as you grew up, or you watched a lot of movies and, TV. Especially everybody has a phone on them nowadays. Our phones that where we have access to the internet and social media 24/7. I noticed that the internet and getting caught up in all these different things we see online, they really are a good distraction, way for us to escape in a sense into, maybe you're like watching a show that you can kind of escape into, and you can kind of, while you're watching it, you can kind of put yourself in that world or that reality. You look on TV, maybe like the news, you'll see a lot of stories where there's a lot of tragedies. You see like crime and natural disasters, and you always try to save maybe a good story towards the end. And that's kind of how it is every day. I kind of have a love-hate relationship when it comes to the internet and social media, because on one hand it's entertaining and it kind of lets me escape, be distracted for a little while from reality, you could say. A lot of the negativity you see, I hate it because the internet itself is also the best way for you to see what's really going on around us and around the world globally. It's constantly these negative, horrible things that you hear about, and it's just, there's so many videos and so many stories that are constantly coming out, and everybody's trying to impress one another, show how great of a person they are, how much everybody wants to have likes, be a part of, something bigger, try to stand out. I don't think there's anything wrong with using social media or the internet. That's why a big part of why I like it is just because I can, too much negativity growing up, you'll see just all the things going on. And as you get older and you kind of you start looking around you and you see how the world works, and it's not to say that there's only negative, horrible things always going on. You can find nice, beautiful things, a lot of different, stuff. I really feel like the internet just exposes you to, and it really shows you better than anything else, just all the chaos that is happening, wars, and just so much negativity. Of course, being born in the early 2000s, I had a lot of experiences growing up on the internet, playing video games, and maybe going on watching videos and TV shows and movies and whatnot. They've always just been kind of an escape, just like something I can do when I feel overwhelmed, or especially nowadays as I get older and I just start to, ponder on how the world really is. Try not to get too pulled into all the negative things that are going on. Kind of are just my escape, and I think a lot of people can relate. Fortunately, as a kid, the internet kind of, I wouldn't say it scarred me. I saw a lot of things that I wish I hadn't seen, like death and horrible accidents and war and people that are suffering and just like all this terrible news, and you hear about murder. Oh, the housing market is going up and people can't afford gas and groceries are so expensive, and it's getting harder to find a job, and then even there's just so toxic stuff that can kind of come out of it. And I think if you can find things that you enjoy out of the internet that maybe pull you away from that negativity and maybe can kind of bring you a sort of peace of mind, then it might be a great escape, you could say, from maybe the stress you feel or just the constant feeding of all these things you hear and see all the time. And that's why now more than ever I rely on things like gaming or movies and stuff, from obviously things that are fictional that just kind of pull me out of the current reality that we live in. Even if it's just for a few minutes or a few hours, it's something that lets me escape and not have to think about all the things we have going on. Not focus too much on the current reality of how we live. I think if you're someone who maybe is an overthinker like I am, and you pay attention a lot to the things around you, and you're constantly hearing about all the stuff that's going on, maybe the best way to get away from that is by getting away in something that isn't real, something that's fictional. Usually with me, that's with music, or like I said, with games, or maybe movies. It's kind of just kind of like these videos. It's another cope I have, but it's always been one of my best and easiest ways to deal with any negativity when I'm overwhelmed. Nothing really seems to be going up. It's state of things and going down. It seems like all the time there's just always all these different stories and headlines on the news and social media, and just all these horrible things. I think the best way to get away from that is by means of escaping in a way that you can't do in real life.